How are you, leaders? And good evening. I trust you are well, and I want to take this opportunity once again to welcome you for tonight's conversation. A very, very important conversation, a very critical topic, and we're glad that you've been able to make a major milestone, because tonight we are discussing lesson 11 out of 16. That's a major milestone, and a few weeks to go, then we'll be done. But as usual in this program, we remain at the peak until the very end. It's my hope that all of us are experiencing some level of transformation, some level of impact, and the same thing is also happening within the environments where we are leading, and probably also the people we are leading can attest that something is happening through this masterclass. That is always our hope. That's always what we expect, that as we continue to engage, as we continue to learn, as we continue to discuss, we'll be able to at least identify areas that we can work and act on immediately, so that the discussions, the lessons translate into tangible outcomes, and they also lead out to tangible impact. I therefore want just to appreciate you, and maybe just do a quick check that we are communicating well, you are getting me clearly. If you could just send a message on the chat, I'll appreciate that. Then we'll straight away get to tonight's discussion. So let me just allow you to just send an alert, you know, that we are engaging. You can get me clear on your end as we start the discussions. Okay, so on the chat, if you can get me clear, let me just indicate. Thank you. I can see a number of, thank you so much. Appreciate for that. Great. I think we are good to go. So we'll make a prayer, and I will ask if Pastor Michael, you're in a position to make a prayer for us tonight. Kindly, you could do that.
Yes, sir. Heavenly Father, in the name of Jesus, thank you for tonight's session. Thank you for seeing us through the day. Thank you for helping every one of us in our various places of work, business, careers, whatever we did for the day. We thank you for the accomplishments so far. We thank you even for this ongoing leadership session. Thank you for every one of us that is part of it. We commit tonight's session into your hands. Holy Spirit, we ask that you help us to grasp, help us to understand, help us to live here charged and challenged to go and become true agents of change. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you so much. Appreciate for that. Otherwise, could we pick it up from where we left last week? Last week we had quite a very engaging discussion. We remember the 11 dimensions of leadership, and I think as part of a recap, I will just make it open for any of us, just to refresh our memory, and probably also to mention what really stood out for you, and you can also add a comment or two on the various dimensions that we discussed last week. So I want just to open it up. Just mention one of the dimensions that we discussed. We discussed 11 of them. One of the dimension, and maybe what it means to you in terms of application, and the impact maybe it has had on you, and any other perspective that you may want to share from that. So I'll just open it up. I think we are about 14, and maybe if all of us mentions one, I think almost all of us could participate in this discussion. Feel free to mention your name and your cohort and your profession, because we are meeting from different cohorts just as part of our engagement tonight. So let me just open it up. Just feel free to unmute and just refresh our memory on any of the dimensions that you can remember from the last week discussion. Then straight away, we'll move on to the power of vision in leadership. We're going to discuss one topic, but it's quite detailed. So then later on, towards the end, we'll have some time just to reflect on the project proposal, and then we'll wind up our discussion. So let me just open up. Feel free. Whoever wants to kickstart the discussion, welcome, and just mention one. One of the dimensions that you can recall. From last week's discussion. Okay. Or maybe I could make it a bit, create some order and just invite the individual, but I think it's better if we just mention randomly. "11 dimensions of leadership." Which one can you recall from our discussion? Maybe I could start off, and Pastor Michael, since you opened for us, I don't know if you could mention any that you can recall. Normally we have no right answer. It's about learning. So I think I'll just invite you if you can refresh our memory on any. Then I'll move on to Jacqueline. Then I'll move on to I know some of us maybe were not there last week, so that will be okay. Dennis, if you recall any, then we'll move on like that. So Pastor Michael, Jacqueline, and Dennis, any that you can recall?
Maybe the discovery of purpose, the purpose for which someone was created.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the issue of purpose, very important. Jacqueline? And Dennis, how about Dennis?
Hi, Joseph.
Hi, Jacqueline, how are you?
I'm fine. I'm so sorry I was not. I'm trying to catch up.
Okay.
Yeah, that's why I'm quiet.
No problem at all, Jacqueline.
So thank you.
Thank you too. Dennis, any that you can recall? 11
Yeah, set examples and being role models.
Mm-hmm.
Hello.
Yes, Dennis, we can get you.
Yeah, that is setting examples and being role models.
Yeah, thank you for that. Let me see who else could contribute on this. Sylvia, Maureen, Pastor Mary. Anyone who could add your voice to this?
Leadership as servanthood.
You are right. Servanthood. I think that really came out very strong. Leadership is servanthood. Yeah, we talked about that, and I think thank you so much for reminding us about that. Really appreciate that. Anybody else? Before I share the details and then we move on. Maureen, would you wish to add your voice to this? Maureen, Hannah, Esther Nderitu, Josephine.
Hello.
Yes, Dennis.
Yeah, this is where you have a privilege to produce other readers.
So leadership is a privilege, yeah, to mentor the leaders to reproduce leaders. Yeah, we talked about that. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Leadership is influence.
Leadership is influence. Yes, we talked about leadership being influenced. Thank you so much. That also was very important from the discussions last week. Well appreciated.
Yes, good evening. Yeah, leadership is getting out the best at like doing the best at your craft or being a master of something.
You are right. You are right. We
Yeah.
say leadership is mastery. Yeah, mastery. It's about becoming the best at your craft. Becoming the best at your craft. Thank you so much. Could I take maybe one more?
Okay.
I could take one more.
Evening.
Good evening.
Leadership is the potential of one leading. Changing oneself first, you have to change yourself for you to develop and make a difference and make a change in the society.
Very true. Very true. Thank you so much for that. Appreciated. True. Yeah, so that's among the others that we discussed. We say leadership. The first one we talked about leadership is personal before it's public. So it's about becoming a leader at a personal level. Then that translates to becoming a leader that is able to lead other people. So we say leadership is first personal before it is public. And remember that leadership is first personal before it's public. That's where we started the conversation from. Yeah, and we went on, and maybe I could just to help us really reflect on this. Just allow me so that we are all at the same page. Just to project this briefly, just as part of our reflection. So these are the 11 dimensions that we discussed last week. We said we cannot exhaust leadership just from one view. We have to have a bigger 360 view of leadership so that we make justice to this very important topic. Yeah, and among the topics or among the issues that we discussed, we said leadership is self-leadership before it becomes public. Leadership is servanthood, and this has been mentioned. We also said leadership is a lifestyle. Yeah, since all of us can serve, then all of us can be able to lead. So it's about servanthood. Leadership is coaching, yeah, positioning others to perform and optimize their strength and manage their weakness. It's about influence, and this we really connected that with the issue of vision, because the way we influence is through a vision, among other aspects like the 6 I's that we discussed earlier, the 5 C's that we discussed earlier, attributes that propels a leader to higher level of influence. Leadership is a privilege to better the lives of others. It's also mastery, as it has been mentioned. Leadership is about becoming an agent of hope. Yeah, when you are in the midst of a true leader, regardless of how the situation looks like, a leader will always be able to figure out the smallest light and put a lot of focus on that. Yeah, so, and I think this was a message during COVID. We really try to ensure that people don't give up, because if people give up, then they are left with nothing to hold on. Yeah, so we need to continuously ensure that at least we can hold on hope. It's about character. Leadership is character. Leadership is about strategy. Leadership is also about transformation. If I'm a leader and I'm not transforming my environment, then there is a gap. Where you have a true leader, you'll always be able to see some element of transformation. So those are the 11 dimensions that we discussed last week. And I trust now we are on the same page. That was the whole discussion from the very beginning to the end. We revolved around that, and I believe now we are good to go. So I want us to transition straight away to tonight's discussion. Leaders, tonight's discussion is really a very important discussion, because this is what we call the DNA of a leader. The DNA of a leader. If you miss this in a leader, then truly we are not talking about a leader. If you miss what we are talking about tonight in a leader, or this quality in a leader, then truly we are not talking of a leader. We are talking of someone else. Yeah. So anywhere we talk about leadership, and sometimes I have a problem where we refer to leaders or we call people leaders, but in really sense, you find there are so many qualities that really are attributed to leadership that are missing in these leaders. And among them is what we're going to talk about tonight, because we are talking about the power of vision in leadership. The power of vision in leadership. And probably just to jumpstart our discussion, when we talk about visionary leadership, apart from ourselves, because we know ourselves, we know how visionary we are, reflecting either within the country, reflecting globally, who do you position, or who do you really feel has been a visionary leader, and someone that could be a case study on this issue of leadership? I just want to provoke our thinking so that we can start scanning around and trying to align this discussion to some particular thoughts, and also to some particular people that we feel demonstrated a certain level of visionary leadership, and that really will place us into context from what we are discussing tonight. So could we just maybe share just a few of them on the chat, or those who can unmute and just mention? I think that could also be okay. I can see already on the chat we have the third president, Mwai Kibaki, and we're going to discuss about him tonight, connecting to the Vision 2030. And I agree, Dennis, you are right. I think that was a visionary leader. We have Dr. James Mwangi of Equity. Very true. Thank you, Pastor Michael. We can see, and again, when you look at these leaders, you can tell because of the level of transformation. You can tell because of the impact they have had. Our third president is no longer there, but we cannot erase the history, his footprints in the history of this country. And that's really what defines a visionary leader. A visionary leader is defined by the level of impact. A visionary leader is also defined by the level of contribution. How much contribution did they make to society? A visionary leader is also defined by their legacy. And just note those three qualities of a visionary leader, because we will also build around that. It's about impact. So talking about the third president, talking about Dr. James Mwangi, we see impact. We see contribution. We see we see legacy. Talking about Nelson Mandela, Barack Obama, talking about Martin Luther King Jr., we see impact. Talking about John Michuki, this is someone who totally revolutionized the transport industry in this country. Just thinking about how we used to, how our transport system was before he brought the Michuki rules, and the kind of impact that until today we still feel the impact. Talk about Sylvia, what you have mentioned, Professor Wangari Maathai. We can see the level of sacrifice from these leaders, and many others that maybe we may not even mention in this discussion tonight. So this will put into context as we continue with this discussion, just to help us appreciate the discussion about the power of vision tonight. We have an image there, we have a picture there, and if you are told to determine the direction of that car, are you able to tell where it's heading? Is it going front? And front here could mean different sides for different people, but front, let's just assume front is where we have those black parts. Is it going on the right? Is going on the left? Is it going backward? Are you able to tell the direction of this car? I know this maybe could also be an obvious question, but it will help us just to be able to reflect on what we are discussing tonight. Is it easy to tell the direction of this car? Can we tell the direction of this car? Maureen, are we able to tell the direction of this car?
It's hard to tell because you see the tires are facing one direction, the windscreen is facing another direction, the headlights are facing another direction, so it's a bit hard to tell. Maybe it would move where the headlights and the tires are facing.
Mm-hmm.
But it's a very confusing image.
Yeah, and Maureen, in the context of leadership and visionary leadership, what clicks to mind on this kind of a picture, Maureen?
Okay, if let's say this was a leader, he has no vision that is a focused kind of vision. He's all over the place. He's focusing on different things, but not on one thing that would where he would lead others. So it's as a leader, the vision is a bit confused, not direct.
Yeah. I see Abby Mudeu had also unmuted, and Susan, maybe you could also share your comments.
Evening, leaders. I'm Susan. When I looked at that car, it seems you cannot clearly detect which direction it is going to, because as Maureen has said, it is the legs behind are looking as if he was going to the front, but you can't tell anyway. That is the conclusion. Thank you.
Thank you, Susan. I could conclude with Abby Mudeu.
I think I'd also say the same, because it's not really possible to determine the direction. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, leaders, what are we saying? I'll pick this from what Peter Drucker said. The leader's first task is to be the trumpet that sounds a clear sound. When we are leading people, there should be clarity, and this is among the 5 C's. One of the C's that we discussed. If someone stops you and asks you, Abby, where are we heading as a leader, as a team? There should be a very clear direction. There should be a clear visionary statement or visionary state of what you as an organization or you as a person you are living for. So the clarity, we say, it's very it can be a catastrophe when you have a leader who is not clear in terms of the direction. Yeah, there is also a lot of wastage when we have this kind of scenario, because our resources are not centered, and many other things happen in this kind of situation. So it's important just to align ourselves with the thought of Peter Drucker, that as a leader, my first task is to make sure we don't have a condition like what we are seeing tonight in this kind of a car, that I'm not able to tell, are we going right, left, back, or front? That's one thing that every leader needs to work on. Keep on asking ourselves, can I clearly be able to articulate the direction of the organization or my personal direction? If we achieve this in this class, regardless of where you are, maybe already before even you joined the class it was clear, or maybe you still find that you need to enhance it more. Regardless of where you are, I think it's just important to reflect on this statement and see how we align ourselves. As a GLN, we talk about a generational thinker, purpose-centered and vision-driven leader in every home, organization, and country. For us, this is what we see. This is what we visualize. We visualize a world of generational leaders. We visualize homes with generational leaders, with the purpose-centered, with vision-driven leaders. We visualize organization and countries out there. Yeah, so every new cohort adds to this vision. And this is among the qualities of a vision, because a vision is greater than an individual, is greater than even a generation. A vision could start from one generation and flow all the way to another generation. We can see some visionary leaders that were there before us, and they laid the foundation, and we're still building on that, on the foundation that they laid, and we're still moving on. I'll show you an example of what we are referring here tonight. And let me start with these 2 gentlemen here. I don't know if any of us could be able to identify these 2 gentlemen. Who are these 2 gentlemen? Anybody who can identify them, or who can attempt to identify them? Yeah, Henry Ford, George. Yeah, thank you for the trial. Yeah, Hitler, thank you for the trial.
Right, brother.
Great, you are right. You're right. You're right. These are Wright brothers. And there's a very interesting story about these 2 gentlemen. Leaders, this is a story that is very inspirational, and is also a story of hope. It is a story of how simple beginnings can have global impact, because Wright brothers, they came up with this idea, and in 1903 they made the first flight. Yeah, in 1903 they came up with the first flight. And I think there is an image I've removed, which I should show you. Just allow me to get that picture, because that picture is very important in the context of what we are talking. But the Wright brothers is a story of what the power of a vision, clearly pointing out to what a visionary leader can do, and when we have a vision, the kind of impact that we're able to create as leaders. So the Wright brothers, this is where they are. You see them in 1903. This is the first flight. And this flight, it took just a few seconds. And they were so excited. This was a breakthrough. And this is 1903. Fast forward. This is where we are currently. But what was the idea of the Wright brothers? Are we still aligned to the ideas of the Wright brothers? Are we still building on the idea of the Wright brothers, or have we diverted from the idea of the Wright brothers? And maybe I would ask Elroy just to comment on this. Elroy Matekwa, what do you think? Are we still building on this vision, or have we diverted from this vision when you look at where we are today?
I think that we are building on, and I'm sure if the Wright brothers were alive right now, they will not believe how far their principles have come and how their vision has materialized.
Very true. The idea was, could we help people move in a more faster way? Yeah. Instead of taking 12 hours from here to Mombasa, or from here to Dubai, so many hours, or from here to Rwanda, a whole day or even 2 days, could we enable people to take 1 hour? Could we enable people to take 45 minutes to move from here to Mombasa? That was the underlying principle. The idea was just help people move in a faster way. And they started with this initiative in a bicycle garage. They didn't have resources. They didn't have a lot of materials. They used what they had. So they could only access, you can see even the wheels there. They look like bicycle wheels. They used the resources they had to be able to test out the idea and just to be able to see how they can actualize this idea. And today, we have improved these ideas in a way that it's unimaginable. As Elroy has said, if they were alive just to see what has become of the idea, I'm sure they will all be amazed, because maybe they didn't visualize what we are having today. And leaders, this is the power of a vision. It doesn't matter how small it might seem at the beginning. The vision is measured by the level of impact. That's really what defines a vision. And as we build around what we have discussed in the previous discussion, I'll take you again to this story of 3 bricklayers. Yeah, a parable about the power of vision and purpose. And what happened is that there were 3 bricklayers who were in a construction site. And as they were undertaking their duties, someone passed by and he posed the same question to the 3 of them. The first one was asked, what are you doing? He or she said, I am a bricklayer. I'm working hard, laying bricks to feed my family. Is that right? Very true. The answer was correct. The second one, the same question, what are you doing? He or she said, I am a builder. I'm building a wall. Still true. And again, I believe this same person is also earning something to feed himself and the family, just as the first one mentioned. But here now you can see for this second one, could now visualize a wall. Yeah, not just, yes, the earning was there, but now he could have a view of the wall. How about the third one? The same question, what are you doing? He or she said, I am a cathedral builder. I'm building a great cathedral to the Almighty. I'm building whatever else we could put there, building a super highway, yeah, to help humanity. And if you look at the 3 bricklayers, who do you think probably could be more motivated? Or what could be the difference between these 3 bricklayers in terms of how they look, undertake their task, and also maybe in terms of the level of fulfillment in life? I know we could look at it from different perspectives. All of us could share different answers. But if you look at the 3 of them, what message can you pick from this scenario? The first one, the second, and the third one. Maybe we could just get a reflection of two leaders, then we move on. Yeah,
Maybe I could say something. I think the third person has a vision. He has a vision of what will happen. He's a visionaire. That's what I can say.
Yeah, thank you, Pastor Michael. Tabitha Kibero, I see you have unmuted. Or Abby, you could go first. Abby Mudeu.
I think reflecting back to the first question you had asked us about the car, it shows that people can have different motivations and different perspectives when they are doing something, because person 1, 2, and 3, they're all right, but they are viewing their work differently and they have different motivations.
True. Yes, Jacqueline.
Thank you, Kerry. I would say maybe the third person is living the purpose out of the vision that he has, that there must be the building. He's not just building because he's a builder, but also to meet the purpose of the vision. There is the cathedral that he wants to build, and for who? For the Almighty. Yeah.
Yeah, true. And if this was an organization, what would you say about the leadership of that organization? Just to, again, flip it from the builders, now we want to look at the organization. We have employed these 3 people to undertake the same task, and all of them have different pictures of what, different objective, different purposes of what they are doing. What could you say about the leadership of that, taking this to be an organization? Yeah. Dennis, any comment on that? Now we are looking at the leadership of that organization.
Yeah, thank you. If I may comment, from this parable, we can see different people have different visions, and in each and every part, despite that they are all of them, they are having a brick, they are using it for different purposes, but aiming to just to building.
Yeah, and I think we have. I also concur with what Pastor Michael has mentioned. Maybe before I read this, Jacqueline, you have a comment?
I wanted to say that maybe relating this to an organization, for the first and the second person, it seems you're there just to do what you have been called to do. Sometimes you don't mind what the institution want to achieve. It's like you're not part of the achievement. The end result doesn't really matter to you. But for the third person, the end result matters, and even as in, if it is an institution where we want to meet a certain target, you're part of that target, and you also want to be an achiever in whatever the institution want to attain. So the success, you're part of the success, and the goal that are set, you want to be part of it.
Yeah. Anchege, I see your comment. The third person is working for a long-term goal and answerable to a high authority. Yeah, it's not just looking at the leader or the appointing authority, the immediate one, but the bigger picture. Pastor Michael, I think, really concludes this quite well, in addition to what we have all shared, that maybe the vision and purpose wasn't effectively communicated to all the players. And I would urge you just to imagine this same test is done in your organization. What will be the results? And I take you back to JFK and the janitor. The janitor, maybe someone who, in terms of the hierarchy, could be a bit lower, yet that person had the clarity of what the organization was up to. Yeah, so it's really important. We normally encourage leaders that maybe twice in a month, talk about your vision. Yeah, in every meeting that you have, let this be so deeply embedded in the people, and make it as simple as possible, something that people can relate, talk about, and be inscribed in them. But for us to inscribe a vision in other people, it means it has to be deeply inscribed in us. For me, every opportunity I get, I'm always talking about GLN. I'm always talking about what we are doing, generational thinkers, purpose-centered and vision-driven leaders. This is what we live for. This is what we work for. This is what we think about. And if I'm somewhere, I will scan around and see who can I introduce to this program. So leaders, I think this is a big challenge for all of us. And it's also a very exciting way of looking at how we can just work around and test ourselves, ask ourselves, how deeply is the vision embedded in me? Either a personal vision or an organizational vision. And if the same test is done within an organization, what will be the results? Could it be the same kind of results that we are seeing here tonight? That's just for us to reflect. But when you're talking about a vision, you're talking about a desired end state. What is the end state? The end state for GLN is to see leaders who have the kind of qualities that we are talking about. But the overall goal is to ensure that we have a happier generation. We have organizations where people are happy to work in. We have organizations where the environment is conducive. Why? Because we have leaders who are thinking generational, leaders who are purpose-centered, and leaders who are visionary. And that means they transform the environment. Yeah, that's the end in mind. So we're talking about being able to see the end results and how your work contributes to that end. That's what you're talking about, a vision. A future that informs and energizes the present. When you think about a vision, there's some energy, some zeal, some passion that is ignited in us. And you feel like you can do more. I remember when you started these trainings, and I think I've shared this a number of times. We had the first cohort with 3 participants, and we were trying to figure out exactly what do we want to do. We didn't have the materials that we have today. We didn't have the training manuals that we have today. We didn't have the online platforms that we have today. And therefore, we were trying just to get our way. And sometimes that happens because a vision becomes sometimes clearer as you take a step or after the other. Yeah. So for almost a whole year, we were just talking, sharing, sometimes some quotes, sometimes some Bible verses, sometimes just to keep us refining. And along the way, as I said, 2 of them dropped and I was left with 1. And as it always happens to all the pioneers, and I know we have pioneers here today, Sometimes you will even doubt what you are doing. You'll ask yourself, is it worthy? Is it worthy? Especially if you are doing something else that maybe could be helping you in terms of making a living. You would wonder, should I really be following this? And maybe I have something else. Even if you don't have something else, you would also probably be asking, is it worthy the sacrifice? That's the same kind of questions that we were having. And I remember, because the only person that was left was my wife, I told her, we have to keep going, because I'm sure there is something I'm seeing, and this will be transformational. We don't blame anybody, because even as we are trying to figure our way out, and I think we were like that vehicle at that particular time. We had an idea, but we had not really made a choice of exactly what direction do we want to take. But whatever we were thinking was informing us. It was creating some energies. It was so deeply inscribed that you can't live doing it. You cannot stop. You quit today, and tomorrow morning you find yourself on it again. And you wonder, yesterday I closed this chapter. Today you are back again. That's really the power of a vision, because this is not something that is extrinsic, it is intrinsic. It will drive you. It will make you really have some energy despite the challenges that you might encounter. So we're saying a vision is also a clear, strong, inspirational, long-term desired change or desired state. Yeah, a mental picture of what you want to see. That those leaders that we can visualize, and those better environments that we can visualize far much ahead. And let me just share a few examples of vision statements. And maybe as we look at this, you could ask yourself, if I was to work for one of these companies, which company would I choose to work for based on their vision? That's the challenge I want to pose to all of us. So just look at them, and then just choose one of them, just one of them. So Oxford, what is the vision statement? A just world without poverty. Just 5 words. A just world without poverty. Facebook, connect with friends and the world around you on Facebook. I think this is still the same if they haven't revised. And then Feeding America, Hunger-Free America. Yeah. Microsoft, at the beginning of the formation of Microsoft, a computer on every desk and in every home. Human Rights Campaign, equality for everyone. And then we have the last one there, Habitat for Humanity, a world where everyone has a decent place to live. If you are to choose to work for one of the companies here, or even to support that company based on their vision, which one do you feel is inspirational, is compelling, is clear, and you feel in terms of value, it has value to humanity, a vision that you could really want to relate with? Which one do you feel you could relate with closely? I see, Peter, you're saying Microsoft. Yeah, a computer on every desk, in every home. It's also clear, you can see. Michael, you're saying Oxfam, a just world without poverty. Agree. Moria, Josephine, you've mentioned Oxfam. Let's see. Pastor Mary, Oxfam, a just world without poverty. Okay. Anybody who may wish to unmute and also add as we look at the chat as well? Yeah, Habitat for Humanity, Feeding America. I think all of us, we have reasons, we have justifications to be able to choose any that we are choosing here. But the message here is that a vision has to connect easily with people, and it has also influenced the people to buy into your vision. So we normally say the first task is to inscribe the vision in you. When the vision is deeply inscribed in you, then you start describing it to other people. And the reason you are describing the vision, you want to invite them to subscribe to your vision so that now they can be partners with you. Then they also start describing the same to others. They also help others to subscribe. And GLN, this has really been our driving force, because most of you here, I didn't reach out to you, but someone was able to reach out to you and invite you to join the class. Because why did they do that? It has been inscribed in them. They see the value, and they're able also to invite others to be able to subscribe to that. So as we work a vision, as we you work on your vision, that's really what should be very important. That has it been deeply inscribed in me? Is this something that I really talk about it with so much zeal and so much passion? And can it trigger buy-in from other people? I shared two more here. This is the All Saint Cathedral, a Christ-centered cathedral. And then the mission is to transform people through the word of God. And then I also like sharing this, that land that the children of Israel were able to visualize. This is from a biblical perspective. When Moses was now starting the journey, the first task was to describe the destination. Where are we going, and what is the state of where we are going? And he was able to describe that we are going to a land of our own, if I paraphrase, a land flowing with milk and honey. And I normally say, if I was in that team, I would also willingly follow that leader. Why? This leader is actually doing this for our good. This leader is taking us from a situation that is really not good to a situation that is quite inspiring. It's taking us to a situation or to a destination that is a total contrast of the existing situation or the existing environment. Because these are slaves, and then you are showing them that they are going to own a land of their own, flowing with milk and honey. And leaders, I think what you are saying is that a vision has to be inspiring. It has to contrast. It shouldn't just be the same thing that we are experiencing now, but there should be something that people can see. Sometimes it also make people uncomfortable because they have a challenge believing what you're telling them because of the situation they are going through. And I think I'll give you some more detailed as we continue. So vision, as we define leadership, as we talk about leadership, vision is at the center of leadership. And just to remind us of this definition about leadership from Professor Dr. Mohammed, that leadership is a function of knowing yourself. And it's from that clarity that a vision is birthed. Because we tend to ask ourselves the three questions that I mentioned. What is my impact? What is my contribution? What is my legacy? You know, someone told me when she attended this class, she had to think beyond Nairobi because of her impact. She started asking herself, yes, I've worked in Nairobi, I have a place, I stay in a place, I have built a house, but is that all? And the person had to get a way of now coming up with another idea. And now the focus here is on impact. The three questions. So that knowing ourselves, then having a vision, then we start describing the vision. We start building a team around a vision. And then we start walking the journey of actualizing the vision. So vision encompasses thinking, it comes with planning the future, with imagination, with hindsight. Sometimes we look at where we have come from, what do we want to change from the current, the past, the insights, what the details of what we want to bring out, and then the foresight. The foresight is what do we see into the future. So we are saying a vision sets a leader from the limitation of what the eyes can see. It allows a leader to be able now to imagine into the future. Imagine into the future, because even the vision statement that we have looked at, we are imagining a hunger-free world. It's unimagined. The reality could be different. And that's why we are saying a vision is a leader's, rather, it's also the heart of leadership. And that leaders, that is why I said at the beginning, the DNA of a leader, one of the quality or the attribute that should never miss in the DNA of a leader is a vision. You get the blood of a leader, I'm just using this as an example, we have to be able to see a vision in the DNA of a leader, because a vision leads the leader. Vision sparks passion. It also the magnet that attracts partners and resources. We say people do not give to people, they give to valuable ideas. They give to valuable transformational ideas. They give to visions. So vision is also a source of hope, is a source of power and passion. And we are saying a leader without a vision, sadly to say, is a tragedy. Because such leaders, they have no foresight, they instill no hope in themselves and others. I remember there's a day I was just watching one of the show in the morning, and I was asking someone, really, if this is what we start with in a day-to-day basis on our morning show, when shall we ever develop? You look at other countries, the kind of discussions you see in their media, people are talking of innovations. People are talking of what the countries are doing. They're talking about the direction of the country. They're really talking about heavy things that are positive and impacting society. And I'm not saying this, I'm not saying this from a bad light, but I think sometimes when we look at the kind of leadership that is within our environment, we feel that we have a room to be able to do much, much better. There are media houses that are doing very well, but I think there's still much more that we require to do to create a country and look positively in terms of how do we see our country. So as part of the introduction, there are key terms about vision casting. I'll not go about through this because they are there in the manual. I'll just invite you to look at them, the vision statement, the mission statement. I think this one, just look at them at your own time. Just to appreciate some of those key terms of vision. But we are saying that every vision should meet the following criteria: has to be specific and measurable. What specifically will be achieved and be tracked? It has to be very clear. The Wright brothers, they were clear. Yeah, when they started thinking about their vision, clearly they knew what they wanted. And they knew the problem they were solving. So it has to be suitable. Does it offer a solution to the problem at hand? So it must be suitable. It has also to be feasible. Is it possible to achieve it? Yes, it's possible. It's possible to have a hunger-free country or a hunger-free world. It might take us long, but gradually, one day, probably we shall arrive there. It may not be in the lifetime of that leader, or even in that generation, but probably one day we shall be there. And then also a vision has to attract commitment. People be inspired to commit themselves and their resources. Just think about your vision. Think about your vision as an organization or your vision as an individual. Can it attract commitment? Why should people buy into your vision? Why should people buy into my vision? And I think among the parameters here is the kind of value that we are adding. What is the value of that vision? So these are important, the nuts and bolts of a vision, just some of the qualities that attributes that every vision should have. And also ownership. Does it inspire others to own it? It has to attract ownership. I've seen this happening with GLN, and I'm just using this as an example, where people volunteer to be in various departments and volunteer to come and facilitate and many other things. And I think that's what we're talking about, ownership. People feel they own it. And that's how we also sustain a vision, because beyond you, people can run with that vision. I'll give you also, for the purposes of just clarifying between ambition and vision, the two of them are important, but one of them is higher than the other one. So I'll give you just the difference between ambition-driven leader and vision-driven leader. And we felt this is important because there are times we see this happening a lot to us and also to other leaders around us, where you think you're pursuing a vision, but in really sense, you're pursuing an ambition, and you are totally different. The two of you are very, very different. So we are saying ambition is a bit personalized, so desire inside you to achieve something, but a vision has to be something bigger, something beyond self. So the ability to think about or plan the future in a more broader way. So let's just look at some of the differences here when we talk about ambition-driven leader and a vision-driven leader. And I think this is also very important as part of our reflection. So ambition-driven leader can be driven by self-centered desire for its glory and self-gratification. It's more of what I desire as a person. Can be limited to the sense or ability of sight, can be driven by competitive mindset. So the desire to distinguish one from other people, probably from possession, from what we have. And we're not saying this is bad, but again, we're looking at it from ambition-driven leader perspective. Can be inclined to naturalism, what I can do as a person, what I can attain with my own strength. Can be driven by excessive desire for distinction or superiority, popularity, or even fame. But when you look on the other side for vision-driven leader, they're driven by a purpose for the good of mankind. And the examples that you shared at the very beginning, look at them. You see these qualities. You see someone like Nelson Mandela, the good of mankind, even with a high level of sacrifice and a cost to pay. So vision-driven leaders are driven by the sense or ability of heart or imagination, driven by complementary. It's not about competition, it's about complementing. They have a complementary mindset to improve mankind and contribute to society's well-being. They're driven by faith because whatever they are pursuing is beyond naturalism. They're driven by desire for significance, value, legacy, and impact. To add some more into this, vision-driven leader, again, versus ambition-driven leader, we're saying ambition-driven leader can be measured by personal achievement or gratification. We can measure our success by what I've achieved as a person, can be self-focused or centered, is also intrinsically driven. Not so much intrinsically driven, so much extrinsically driven. So we measure our success through the extrinsic achievement. Can abuse or devalue people. Ambition-driven leader can use all strategies to be able to attain what they want, even if it will abuse humanity or devalue humanity. Can be superficial, driven by complexity, and many other aspects. But for a vision-driven leader, they measure their success by impact, legacy, and the important fulfillment. There are also others focused. What can I do for society? I take you again back to the three questions. What is my impact? What is my contribution? What is my legacy? Those are the questions that a vision-driven leader keeps on asking him or herself. So these vision-driven leaders, they're intrinsically driven. It's fulfillment. They feel fulfilled when they make an impact, when they transform a life. They are driven by servanthood and value for humankind. They cannot devalue humanity. They add value to humanity. At the center of their hearts, it's what can I do? What value can I add to humanity. This is really what drives them. They are genuine, they are driven by simplicity and authenticity. A vision-driven leader does not live a complicated life. And here we mean that sometimes they just live for one thing. Sometimes they just live a simple life because they really want to make a change. And it's not the complexity of their lives, the simplicity of their lives that will help them achieve that particular desire or that particular goal. And if you read autobiography of people like Mother Teresa and many out there, the simplicity of their lives is really amazing. We look at even the some of the leaders that are really doing well globally. They have that kind of simplicity, that kind of the humility and the way they're able to serve out, because they have reached to a point where they want to complement, they want to really measure their success by the level of their impact. So I think it's just good to be able to reflect here for 2 minutes before we get into part 2. This topic is normally a bit detailed, but a very, very important discussion. Could I allow just some reflection before we look at part 2? Before we look at part 2, if we were to pause here tonight and just bring this discussion to a close, I don't know what you will be reflecting on. I know there's a lot that we have discussed, but I'm sure all of us are reflecting. You know, the beauty of this masterclass is that there's a lot of reflection, and we have the room to think, we have the room to wander around, look around and see, wow, this is what I want to run with. I would just maybe open the platform for 3 reflection, then we'll move on to part 2. Just for 2 minutes. Anybody who may wish to share a reflection or even just add a point to what we have discussed from the very beginning to where we are now, just feel free to unmute, use the chat as well. But if you unmute and just share, I think that will also be much, much better. So could we just take the opportunity? I think 3 people will be good.
Hello.
Yes, Peter.
Okay, so there is one thing that has turned out very clearly about having a clear vision and a purpose of to why maybe usually do some things. This one has also come out clearly on, and I've also taken it so positively and also personally, such that at times maybe there is an introduction of a company. What is going to make people to maybe opt to come for the product that you're having? It is as well going to be well outlined and seen at the vision and mission statement. Yeah, it can be in a very good position to sell whatever you are bringing forward. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Peter. I will take 2 more. Then we progress. Okay, anybody who wish to go next? I know we have been interacting, but I think it's just good to also reflect a little bit.
Hey, good evening.
Good evening.
Yeah, my take home is even as you get a vision for our companies, it's always wise to walk the talk, because at some point you usually say that you want to be a world-class company, and maybe through our services, through our products, we don't mean that. We have our own interests. So it's always important for us, even as you get our vision, we walk the talk, because at the end of the day, people are going to measure us by the vision we create. Thank you.
Yeah, true, Chege, I agree. And I think also we need to think about our vision by looking also at the end, the customers. What will be the benefits of the customers? So we don't look at it just from ourselves, but we look at it from the perspective of the customers as well, or the people that we are serving. Is it something that they are happy to be associated with? Is it something that has some benefit, some value to them? And that's why sometimes we try to avoid this issue of become the best, all that. We really want to make sure that it has some aspect of value to the people. Yeah, people feel like, wow, because we are talking about a hunger-free country, a hunger-free world. It's for the people. It's for the people. Yeah. So I think that's really what also we need to think through, even as we look at our visions and our vision statements. Oliver, a leader without a vision is like a leader without a future. And we always say that a leader without a vision will always return people to the past, or even stagnate people in the present. And that's when we start having environments that are not inspiring. Because when we lose sight of the future, then we can easily be trapped into the present and also be trapped into the past. So we really need to keep on projecting people to that future. Yeah. And even from a biblical perspective, I think this is really what works out very well, because if you allow me to use this, when Jesus was leaving, he didn't leave us like that. He projected us that there is a future. Yeah, so let your mind be fixed on that future. Yeah, because he has gone to prepare. So you see, you are living your life, but there's a projection. And that's really what a vision does. We project and to a hopeful situation, which again has to be actualized. Ndirangu Peter, you're saying without a vision is very hard to get following, since people can't see hope. Actually, one of the biggest challenges that we are dealing with is lack of visionary leadership. This is one of the major challenges that is affecting us in so many areas. The kind of frustration we are seeing, the kind of hopelessness that we are seeing to a higher level is attributed to visionary leadership. Because as we have put it clear, a visionary leader, you look at the contribution. It's not really so much of what am I getting as a person. Yes, that could come along the way, but satisfaction is, have I transformed a person's life? I read a statement by Steve Jobs, and he was saying for them, what really gives them comfort at night is not of how much money they have made that particular day, but it's how many lives have we transformed? How many people have we enabled to work better, to connect better? That's really what gives them gives a visionary leader satisfaction. So we go beyond what we are getting, and leaders, I think this is the game changer. If imagine having the leaders across our sectors, in government, in private, that have this kind of a mindset, that will totally revolutionize this country in a very short time. Because we'll be asking ourselves, what is my contribution? Will I leave this position, or will I leave this consistency better than I found it? Will I impact people? Will I have made a contribution, a significant contribution? Will I have really built my legacy as a leader? So those are the questions that I just want us to reflect together. I see Pastor Vitalis, you're saying people will follow a person. People will follow a person with the vision closely. Yeah. So I think let's move on to part 2. Thank you so much for your comments. We'll again post a little bit before we conclude. So part 2 is quite direct. We are talking about the fundamental responsibility of a leaders in vision casting. What is my responsibility as a leader when it comes to issues of vision casting? And this, again, we could connect with what we have already discussed, so I may not spend a lot of time here. So we are saying one of the fundamental responsibility of a leader is crafting a vision, exploring, taking bold steps, being adventurous, testing our assumptions to be able to really connect to a vision. And there are very various ways that we connect to a vision. Sometimes it could just come from something that you have noticed and it has really become a bother to you. And you ask, why can't someone solve this? That could be a message. That could be a trigger, because we see things based on what is within us. You could be seeing, you're walking in the street and you're seeing the street children, and that thing is always affecting you, while someone else passes and may never even notice those street children. But maybe for you, that you could even pause, you could even stop and ask yourself some question, and many other things. I like saying that when you walk into a barber shop cannot look at your shoes, look at your head. But when you get into a shoe shiner can never look at your head, we look at your shoes. So that's, we also see things that way. There's something that I see and it touches my heart. That could be a communication. So the fundamental responsibility of a leader is crafting a vision. That's why we say in the DNA of a leader, we must get this quality. We must be able to identify a vision in a leader for us to call that person a leader. Again, building alignment. Yeah. So remember, as a leader, we work with others. We work as a team. A vision is greater, is bigger, and it has to create some collaboration. So we need to clarify. We need to create clarity, explain it, structure how to communicate, engage in dialogue, give and take. Yeah, be inspirational in the way we describe the vision, be expressive, being encouraging. So until we are able to align, people are able to buy into our vision, they're able to align with our vision. And sometimes also alignment could also mean, what is the benefit to the people? Why should they work with us? Why should they support us? And then championing execution. Yeah. So a leader is a catalyst when it comes to the vision. I have to keep on asking myself, where are we? Are we losing momentum? Do we need to build the momentum? Do we need to take a new action just to ensure that, again, we jumpstart our journey? So creating structures, plan, and also feedback, very important. Creating a structure where I'm able to get feedback. So these are the fundamental responsibility of a leader: crafting, creating, designing, or shaping a vision. Yeah, a lot of creativity, a lot of reflection, a lot of open-mindedness. We have to think beyond available resources, we have to project beyond just the current resources. Yeah, so this also comes with a lot of thinking time, a lot of reflection. Helen Keller said, what I'm looking for is not out there, it is in me. There are times we struggle with this discussion of vision, but actually what makes the difference could be the projection. Just a minute. Yeah. So crafting a vision, Helen Keller, what I'm looking for is not out there, it is in me. So there are steps here to vision casting: brainstorm, meditate, thinking, time, prayer, and all that. Then write it down. I think this is something that we can look at in the manual. I may not take a lot of time here. Building alignment, yeah. get the buy-in for your vision. This is critical. This is very important for us to be able to move forward. Yeah. So again, effective leaders make sure everyone understands what they are supposed to do and why. Very, very important for every leader. Then we have championing execution. So what are we saying? Without a champion, we said that the leader is a catalyst to create an environment that supports the execution of the vision. Yeah. So when a leader champions execution, it means that the leader is able to make sure that priority is placed on developing alignment. Yeah. And people are able to have a space that they can plug in. Then finally, we are saying feedback is key because feedback is a tool of involvement and engagement. That's why sometimes it's good to have evaluations. It's good to have mechanisms where people are able to reflect on themselves and also make a contribution to the vision. So giving positive feedback is important, but again, also giving proactive feedback is really, really important. So feedback, again, very important. Yeah. So these are the fundamental responsibilities of a leader in vision casting. And I want just to connect this discussion to the Vision 2030, probably just to put everything into the practical space of what has happened to this country. Vision 2030, I may not get into the very nitty-gritty details, but it has three pillars. The economic pillar, which has very measurable parameters, social pillar, and also political pillar. I think the clarity in terms of how we define a vision and also the supporting pillars of a vision are important. And then we have the vision, the overarching vision. Yeah, a global competitive and prosperous nation with high quality of life by 2030. Because this is what the overall, the overall goal of all the other all these pillars. So what happens with the Vision 2030, it was a collaborative. There are many players that were involved in this journey. We had a national vision steering committee of 15 people, operational committee of 30 people, technical committee of 12. We had sector experts. We had also core team. And you see all this kind of engagement, collaboration, teamwork, and it took more than 150 Kenyans from the public and private sector to be able to come up with a Vision 20. And I think this is really what we also need to appreciate, that coming up with a vision, we require sometimes resources, a lot of resources or some level of resources, collaboration, engagement, something that might really call us to be able to engage with as many people as possible who will add value to what we are discussing. Again, stakeholders, identifying the stakeholders that would add value to the vision. And I'm just taking you back to the early years when we could look at these designs of Thika Superhighway and other highways. Just think about this in 10, 15 years ago. You are spending 2 hours in traffic jam. And here we have designs of how Kenya will look like in 10 or 15 years to come. It sounded like a contrast, because here I am spending so much time in a traffic, and here we are looking at a design of this superhighway, express highway that was to come up. And leaders, I'm bringing this just to appreciate that sometimes a vision will create some contrast. You wonder, what am I really talking about? Where I am now and what I can see, there's a big contrast. And that a vision has to stretch us. Sometimes it has also to really take us to that imaginary world, which is again achievable, but it creates some sort of discomfort in a way. And this is what I want to discuss in this second part, the third part of our discussion. But just some leadership principles on vision. We say that vision energizes. Vision creates some energy, some synergy, some motions. People are able to connect to the emotions, and also be able to take some action. Vision also gives hope, as we have said. Yeah, the only thing worse than being blind is having sight but no vision. Yeah, so lack of vision and leadership is a drawback in society, as I said. It's a source of hopelessness, insecurity, poor self-concept, and so many other issues that are affecting us because of the environments that are being created out there that are not really conducive and may not really be benefiting humanity. So vision, again, without vision, we say that the people perish. This is also very important because a vision will align and a vision will also be able to create some restraint and will be able to direct people towards a common goal. Vision is a source of inspiration and motivation. Vision is also a source of value. Yeah, vision will always help or uplift others by adding value. It is designed to make the lives of humankind much better. So nothing noble or worthy is ever achieved without a vision. Vision gives foresight. Yeah, foresight, we are saying the ability to see things as they are, but vision helps us to see things as they should be. It gives us the power to be able to look and create and then embark towards that journey. Vision attracts cooperation, as I said, and also resources. Vision makes activities meaningful. It creates some connection, some linkage, so that whatever we are doing is adding to a common goal. Vision translates, or leadership translates vision into a reality. Then you're saying vision leads the leader. As a leader, you conceive the vision, but it takes over. It starts now creating passion, creating some level of direction, even as you walk that journey. So 5 implications of a vision. 1, vision contrasts present reality with future expectation, and I've said this from the example of superhighways, early years. It created some contrast. We're saying vision paints a picture that contrasts current state of reality. So the size of your dreams, the size of your vision must always exceed current capacity to achieve them. If your dreams do not scare you, they are not big enough. This is Ellen Johnson Sirleaf. Yeah, so it has to stretch us, and we cannot even finance with our own resources. It goes much bigger. It calls for a much bigger partnership. So never limit your vision based on your current resources. It goes beyond that. Then vision confronts sense of comfort. A vision does not comfort us. It actually takes us beyond the comfort zone because we are moving from the known to the unknown. A vision does not comfort. It disrupts comfort, shrinks the comfort zone, does not lead to a path of least resistance, but challenges comfort and resistance. Yeah, so you never change your life until we are able to step out of our comfort zone. Number 3 is that vision conceives new opportunities. Yeah, vision conceives new opportunities. Vision is the source of seeing what is invisible to others. Vision attracts resources. So opportunities are everywhere. What we require is to develop the vision to be able to see the opportunities or to attract the opportunities. Vision connects to resources. You're saying that resources follow a vision. And people join because of a great vision, and people may also leave because of a poor vision or poor leadership. Finally, we are saying vision will concentrate and focus energy, time, and resources. This is so important, leaders, that without vision, life is all about activities. And we have seen these organizations that maybe are just focused on too many activities, but what is the linkage of all these activities? What is the linkage of all these programs? Are they converging to a vision? So leaders driven by purpose and a vision invest their time, they invest the resources in a creative, focused thinking and live a positive life. A leader has the vision and conviction that a dream can be achieved. So what we are saying here is that a vision will concentrate our resources. When I get some resources, I will not have a problem identifying where to take those resources because a vision has aligned. It has aligned my time, it has aligned the people that I require within my circles and the people that I need to serve. It has aligned my time. It has aligned what I read, when I walk to a bookshop, I exactly know where to go. It really brings an alignment even at a personal level. So a vision simplifies. We realize that we don't sometimes have to do too many things, but we really have to do that what brings value and what also adds value to others. There are 6 enablers of a vision. One is clarity. We have to maintain clarity. One of the challenge when it comes to focusing or maintaining a vision is distraction. So leaders must always focus on advancement with consistency. A vision ensures that we keep our eyes on the mark. So clarity and focus, that's an enabler. Patience, very, very important. People who have patience will always win, regardless of sometimes how long it takes. They will emerge as winners. So vision unfolds step by step. And vision takes time. So patience will often help us to be able to walk the journey until we are able to get it right. And faith keeps hope alive. Vision equals faith, because we are saying that faith is the light that guides the leader through darkness. As we journey through the journey of vision, sometimes we'll walk in dark environment, but what will keep us sustained is that hope. What did we see? And why did I start this journey? So that really keeps us focused. Then the other enabler is resilience, the comeback power, the bouncing back power. It's not those who are swift, but those who endure that are able to eventually see their vision comes to reality. Positivity, very important, as James Allen wrote, as he thinks, so he is. As he continues to think, so he remains. So much of what we see in the world is a connection of what we feel within us. So positivity for a leader and a visionary leader is so, so important, because sometimes the situation may not be ideal. I've given just an example of the hours that we were spending in the traffic jam, and that projection of what this country could look, or was projected to look like what we have today. It really requires a lot of positivity that we can make it, and just ensuring that people are aligned to that. Then lastly is love and passion. That's another enabler of a vision. Love and passion. We are saying that leadership has to be anchored on love for humanity, authentic love and compassion for humanity. Leaders without love may abuse humanity instead of demonstrating compassion. So leaders should be in love with their vision and also with humanity. And more importantly, they should also be in love with the source of vision, who is God. That's really what keeps us going. So as we conclude, there are some derailers, some of the things that could hinder the achievement of our vision. And I would probably just allow you just probably to contribute on this. This is the last part as we bring this discussion to a close. What do you think could be the derailers of our vision? What could hinder our vision? What could distract the achievement of our vision? And maybe these are also things that probably you have also experienced as you walk this journey. So that, because when we are aware, then we need to watch out. And when we get into such situation, sometimes we anticipate and we know how to address that or to overcome the situation. So derailers of our vision. One, that tendency just to remain ordinary, a lot of distraction along the way. Sometimes we feel like we could compromise in decision. We can also be held by the past. But again, we are saying lack of clarity could derail our vision. We have to really ensure that we are so clear in terms of the vision. Yeah. So vision is specific. Anywhere, anytime, with anyone is not right, is not good, is nowhere. So nothing becomes dynamic until it becomes specific. Yeah, so again, a clear distinction of the various parameters, including vision, mission, and ambition, that could also derail, because if you don't clarify this correct, it could also delay. Excuses instead of intentional actions. Yeah, we say that in life you can have two things, results and reasons, but we said that reasons don't count. So it's about ensuring that we take the actions, no matter how little they are, instead of probably sometimes delaying or having to derail starting the journey. Perfectionism, what we call perfect status. Perfect status. Yeah. So perfect status are always waiting for the perfect time, which may never show up. So always dreaming big, sometimes without action, could also derail our vision. So what we are saying, leaders, sometimes we start the journey not because every light is green, but we hope that by the time the time we get to the other light, it will have turned to green. We walk the journey as we unpack the journey one by one. We don't have to be perfectionist or perfect. We don't have to wait for that. We have the right timing, but we're saying perfectionism or could derail our vision. Failure to close up other options. Sometimes we have to give up on some things for us to really focus on what really matters. So we have to sometimes narrow our view and ensure that we are dynamic in terms of what we want to pursue. Not recognizing the cost of a vision. A vision comes with a cost, as I've already said: time, other resources, diligence, people, and many other things. Lack of knowledge is also another derailer. Yeah. So vision derail for lack of knowledge. Knowledge drives vision, and many visions have aborted for lack of knowledge. And I'm sure today what we have shared here is valuable for all of us, and we have probably some more insight that we didn't have before. And number 8 is succumbing to external forces, and this could be criticism and could also be opposition. The vision in your heart needs to be larger than any criticism or opposition or even praise that comes against it to persist. Yeah. Finally, we are saying failure to collaborate. A vision demands that we need to work with people. Visions needs people, and great visions are not a one-man business. They demand collaboration. They demand that we work with other people, and if we fail to collaborate, that could also derail our vision. So leaders, I believe this is good enough just for our own reflection, just to be able to think through what we have shared. I'm sure there is so much we can think through. There's so much just to reflect on from what we have shared tonight. And I will just urge us, let's look at this from our notes. Let's listen to this YouTube again and again. But of importance, let's look at our vision, either at the organization level or even at a personal level. What areas do we need to work on? What areas do we need to improve? Have we clarified maybe a personal vision? What drives you? What drives me? And then what is my impact? How do I measure my impact? What is my contribution to humanity? And then finally, how am I building my legacy? Sometimes a legacy is an outcome of how effectively we live our life. And we say the value of life is so much on the donation. What I'm donating as a person, what I'm contributing as a person. I think this is just a good point just to pause and allow all of us just to reflect on this very important discussion. Maybe before we briefly discuss about the project proposal, could I allow 2 people just to share your reflection as we get into the discussion on the project proposal? Will not take so long because again, we'll want to put more effort into these discussions next week. But let me allow some maybe 2 reactions on this topic. maybe 2 reactions. I'm sure all of us would maybe comment on this if we had enough time, but because we are constrained of time, we may not open for all of us. So who could represent us? Okay, I see on the chat. I see on the chat. Hannah Njoroge, is it Hannah? I believe it's Hannah Njoroge. Last week you shared something. I don't know how this discussion has been for you. Would you just maybe share your comment, your reflection on this discussion?
The class was good, and everything has been explained in a well manner, and I have really learned a lot. It is always a normal thing when we talk about vision, mission, purpose, goals, objective, strategies. When you just mention something like that, we just see that we know everything. But the last part, everything that hinders for us to achieve our vision, that is the main part that I have really learned a lot, because at the end of the day we find that we have a vision but we don't know how to focus on it or how to go about it. So we find that we have a lot of things that make us fail to achieve our vision. So I have learned a lot, and the day is very successful.
Thank you so much, Hannah. I listened to you last week, and I think we need to continue sharing because in our midst here we have people who have served for a longer time, and I think it's just good to have an arrangement where we can share our experiences. Those of us who are building some new ventures, we are able again to learn from those who have been there for some time. And also we are also able to add value, because you might be starting a venture, but you also have something that you can also share with those who have been there for some time. So I think I really liked the conversation from last week, and I hope Hannah, you will continue learning. Please, as we put you in the groups, again, those are the platforms where you also need to really share a lot and see how we continue to add value to each other. On the chat, I can see some comments. I see one from Pastor Michael. You're saying it's clear that everything in a leader's life revolves around a vision. Yeah, there is a cost for every vision, such as withstanding criticism and opposition. Yes, very true. Sometimes people may not even see what we are seeing, and they may wonder, what are you really seeing? But again, remember, before they see, you are the first person to see. And sometimes you might even take time even for them to start appreciating what we are seeing. And I think this is, for me, I think there are people that I try to explain and I felt like, no, I think these ones might join me later on, not now. Because if I maybe spend so much time there, I may not be able to make some steps ahead. But later on, they bought into the vision. And again, they were able to come on board. So I think a lot of wisdom in terms of how we manage the process is really important. Oliver just re-echoed again, enablers of a vision, saying clarity, patience, faith, resilience, positivity, passion, and love for people, and love for vision, and also love for God. Very, very important. I think this is good enough for now. Thank you so much, leaders, and we could spend just some few minutes. The reason why we combined this class, we also felt just good for the teams just to learn from each other. So each team will have an opportunity just to talk, first introduce the topic, talk about the objectives, the problem statement, then and anything else that you've been able to to cover. Yeah, so that we could now agree, because from this point forward, we want to look at the methodology, want to look at how do you now achieve the objectives. Are you going to focus on literature review? Are you going to undertake a survey based on the methodology that you feel will serve you better? So I will start with cohort 33. We'll make it brief so that we finish on time. So just mention your topic, mention your problem statement, and mention your objectives. Then we'll share some reflection. Please listen to the teams, and also you can give your suggestions to the team. Where you feel it's not clear, you could also ask the team to maybe expound so that we are able to understand. So Dennis will guide your team. And then team 2, we have Teresia. I know Teresia is not with us, but Hannah, I think you will be sharing, or one of the team members. Then team 3, Maureen, you are on board, so we'll share for team 3, cohort 33. Then we'll move to cohort 34. So let me start with Dennis and the team. Yeah, so welcome and proceed, Dennis.
Yes, thank you. We have one of our member who will be presenting, and I wish to welcome her to go ahead and present. I don't know whether she has the likes to share the screen.
Yes, it's okay. So let me just share the screen. Okay. Okay, I don't know why it's refusing. Can you see anything?
Yeah, on our end, we can see you have started screen sharing, although it hasn't displayed, but we can see it.
Yeah, it's refusing. So let me just present, unless someone else can share for me. Yeah, let me just mention and touch on it. So our group topic is on a case study on whether the Ministry of Agriculture involves the stakeholders in decision making for sustainable food industry. The background of our study is that the agricultural industry is a global industry that involves many different stakeholders. So we went ahead to mention the stakeholders were farmers, processors, retailers, consumers, and government agencies. And in recent years, there have been growing concern about the sustainability of the agricultural industry, as it's a major contributor to climate change, water pollution, biodiversity, and loss. And biodiversity loss. So problem statement: despite the fact that we have massive donor funding in Kenya, one of the challenges to achieve sustainable food agriculture has been poor leadership. One of the challenges to achieving a more sustainable agriculture industry is the lack of stakeholder engagement in decision making. Often decisions about agricultural practices are made by top members in the Ministry of Agriculture without involving small group of stakeholders such as farmers and processors, consumers, and environmental groups. The motivation behind our study is in order to ensure that all stakeholders have a voice in decision making, it is essential that the agriculture industry adopts a more inclusive approach. There are a number of benefits to involving stakeholders as a leader in decision making for a sustainable food industry. Some of these reasons are: it can help to ensure that policies and practices are more effective and efficient. It can build trust and cooperation between stakeholders. It can help to create a more sustainable food system that benefits all stakeholders. So we went ahead and did our objectives. We have 3 objectives. The first one is to find out if there is involvement of stakeholders in the Ministry of Agriculture decision making. So we first want to determine whether there is any form of involvement and to what degree, if there is any. Then the second objective is to determine whether there is lack of involvement of stakeholders by the Ministry of Agriculture during decision making. So we also want to see if there are instances where stakeholders were not involved in decision making, or they were sidelined, or they were backstabbed. Then the last one is to assess whether stakeholders' involvement leads to sustainable food industry. So we also need to create a correlation between the stakeholder involvement and sustainable food industry after doing our research. Thank you.
Thank you, Abby. Dennis, are we done?
Yes, we are done.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. One, I think your objectives are quite well defined, and you could try and look at the current initiatives within the agriculture sector, and I think you are well aligned even with the government of the time, because I think there is a lot of focus on this discussion on issues of agriculture. So the objectives, they are well aligned. Probably you could look at objective 1 and 2 if they are speaking to each other. Otherwise, objective 3 is standing on its own quite well, but there's a thin line between objective 1 and 2. If I got it right, because once we find out if there is involvement, and then we determine if there is lack of involvement, so I think we could be speaking of the same thing. So just look at that. Even if you have 2 objectives, still not bad. I think that is still workable. The maximum we said is 3 objectives. In your motivation, you could talk about the significance of agriculture for the country. Yeah, is the breadbasket. You could talk about the contribution of agriculture to the GDP. There are reference materials out there that you could cite, and that could be the motivation why you feel you need to focus on this discussion. On the problem statement, we really want you to qualify your problem by making any references so that it is not just our own assumptions, but this is something that maybe has been cited out. I know your objectives will address this, but look at a way where we can qualify that there is no lack of stakeholders' involvement. How do we qualify this? Yeah, so I think you may need to try and scan around any available material just to be able to bring that problem in a way that we can refer to maybe any existing material out there, so that remember, this is a project proposal. It is research informed, and therefore every statement has to be justified by either any reference to align our thoughts, so that at the end of the day, when you conclude, you will actually be projecting out that what we thought as a problem has actually been confirmed by 1 or 2 or 3 other writers, and that's why we need to really focus on this particular discussion. I think that's what I would share with the team, but otherwise this is good. Now, what I want you to look at, and this also applies to all the other groups, how are you going to meet these objectives? What is the methodology? Methodology could be a benchmarking. You could benchmark with a country or any other institution that has been able to do this quite well. But since you're focusing at the country, then any other country, how has the countries that you are benchmarking with address the issue of stakeholders engagement. So a benchmark, you could do a survey, but mostly we are constrained of time. That might be a challenge in a way, but if you have a structure of getting managing to do a survey, that is also okay. You could focus on literature review, read widely on available materials, and then address the objectives in your literature review, so that now we are able to make conclusion at the end that whatever we projected, there is stakeholders engagement, and then if involvement of stakeholders has led to sustainable agriculture initiatives. I didn't get the full statement. That we could conclude that very well from the literature review. So this one applies to all the teams. I may not repeat that, but now in the methodology, that's how we'll address. So between now and the next discussion, we really want to focus so much attention on the methodology. Dennis and the team, I don't know if we are we are clear with that.
Yeah, thank you. Well noted. I think we have tried to address some of even the concern you have raised, even quoting some of the relevant documents. I have shared with you the presentation on your WhatsApp, so you can scan through it. Maybe if you don't mind, you can share your comments on the same. Yeah, thank you. We'll be working towards addressing all the other points that haven't been addressed. Thank you.
Thank you, Team One. Well appreciated. I don't know if there is a comment from the team or the rest of the team members from any other cohort. If none, for the interest of time, I'll move on to Team Two. Teresia, Waidera, Esther Mugo, Hannah Njoroge, Harrison, and Mary. Hannah, are you taking up for your team today? Team Two. Okay, I saw we had Esther Mugo. Maybe I'll hold on for Team Two. We move on to Team Three. Team Three, Maureen, you kindly share your progress.
Hello.
Yes, Maureen.
Susan will be doing our presentation today.
Thank you. Thank you, Molly. I'm Susan. I'm the one presenting our team today. And defining the project topic, ours is about problem casing teenage pregnancy. And when I talk of teenage pregnancy, I mean the ages from 15 to 19 years. On brief background, the issue of teenage pregnancy is a worldwide problem. And in Kenya today, teenage pregnancy rate stands at 18%. Out of 5 teenagers are either pregnant or have firstborn child. Though this varies from one county to another. In Kajiado County, according to the Star newspaper, they informed us around 1,500 girls became pregnant from class 7 to 8 in the year 2021, which is an alarming issue. The background of the problem problem statement. The reason why this is happening is because there is failure to have access to birth control pills and method. Secondly, the culture believes leading to early marriage and literacy. That one, sometimes there is what we call sexual gender-based violence, whereby a girl is forced to sex and unwillingly get pregnant, resulting to unwanted pregnancy. The other issue is poverty related to most of the families. They don't have enough for their families, and when these girls grow up, what do? They look for ways to satisfy themselves. So they are even given money by, let's say, border people, and as a result, they become pregnant as early as they are given these things. Or on motivation, we say that we have to encourage the society to maintain moral values to their teenage girls, and you get them all on what they should do. On objective statement, we said that we have to have holistic approach to address the issues. That is, we educate our girls on the importance of behavior change. And then we also have to coach our teens on comprehensive sexual education. We empower the girl child on healthy and reproductive health matters. And lastly, for those with puberty, we encourage them to probably take hustler fund and how they can use it. That's all we have for group 3. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Susan. Morena, are you done?
Yes, we are.
Okay. Thank you so much, and thank you for the team. One, I think, is to appreciate you. These are really big issue. It's my hope that you can look at this issue beyond the project, even after our 12 weeks. Can we look at this as something that we can take beyond the 12 weeks? That's what I will urge you as a team to think through. I like your background, the statistics, and I'm sure there is quite a lot of other statistics that are out there. Beyond the newspaper, you could also look at other publications, because publications also have more credibility, maybe compared to what was published maybe once in a paper. It's still good, but you could add it more with other literature. Motivation, you could talk about this. What is the percentage of the teenagers in? Are we looking at the whole country in terms of the scope, or are we looking at a particular region?
Our area was a rural setup, or the slum areas in the urban areas. So our case study is going to be sampled at Ngong area as a rural area.
Okay, so then for the motivation, maybe you could mention what is the percentage of the teenagers within the maybe the population in the country, so that if there's a significant number, then that really indicates why we have to address this issue. Yeah. So look at that. That could be part of the motivation. Again, maybe you could also look at the impact of these teenagers and in terms of how to safeguard the future generation. But I think the key issue here, if it's a significant number, then it means we really have to address the issue so that we create a positive impact within the bigger population. So look at the motivation. What is the drive? Why do we need to really address this particular issue? Again, the problem statement, I think that's also an area you could also look at in terms of, I know you have mentioned here the 18%. I think that fits in the problem statement quite well. So I think that is okay. I'll look at it when you share with me your write-up. Now, under the background, you mentioned the causes. And I want to propose that you shift that to be an objective. So one of your objectives could be to identify the causes. And already you have started that work. You have talked about cultural beliefs. You have talked about sexual gender violence, poverty related. So those are the issues that we want them to come out from the literature review. So as you review the literature, we'll also be able to identify what are the causes of these teenage pregnancies. Yeah. So one, under the objectives, look at the causes, identify the causes. You could also identify the strategies. You have talked about empowerment, on health, productive, among other things that you mentioned. Those could also be under the objectives. So the objectives could be, one, you identify the causes. Two, you could identify the strategies to address these issues, and any other objectives you feel would help you to be able to address the issue that you have defined in your problem statement. But I suggest under your objectives, one, identify the causes. Two, maybe explore on strategies. You could also benchmark. You could look at the literature and see any other entities, any other countries that have had this kind of an issue. What have they done? And then we could also come up with some mitigation strategies to address this particular issue. I don't know, Susan, if that is good enough, and the team.
Yeah, we are going to do more and improve where we need to improve. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. So now shift more into methodology. Let's start looking at cases out there and then start addressing our objectives. So you refine your objectives, and then now straight away we move on to address them. Thank you so much, Team 3. I don't know if Team 2, we are set to share our progress. Hannah, are we able to share?
Yes.
Okay, kindly proceed.
Yes. So I'm Hannah Wanjik was our topic, and we are looking at how does SGBV-based violence affect the society, more so the leadership, and also we looked at the workplace, considering that SGBV is a wider topic in the society. So we wanted to look at the same time, what is it concerning with leadership? And this is to promote gender equality and ensure safety and well-being of every individual in our society. So we have the, sorry. Sorry. Sorry.
Okay, Hannah.
So that was our topic, and we have the background. There is increase cases of gender-based in our nation today as we watch from our media platforms.
Hannah, sorry, we are not getting you clear.
From views and use terrestrial light now.
Okay, sorry, I think there was a challenge with the network. Maybe as we wait for her to come back, let me move on to cohort 34. We'll start with team 1. Team 1, interim leader, Pastor Michael. Maybe you could just mention what you've been able to discuss. Then we move on to the next team. Welcome.
Thank you so much, Sam. Our own topic of discussion is youth entrepreneurship training. And we have a brief background. Youth unemployment is an acute and growing problem. It is predicted that the number could rise to over 14 million in the coming years, thereby constituting more than 30% of Kenya's entire population. However, if this is handled correctly, we could end up with a large population of a labor force that can instead offer great opportunities because jobs are fundamental in eradicating poverty and securing regular and predictable income. Our project statement is to work for the economic and social empowerment of women, youth, and men, and therefore the society as large, by supporting the creation of sustainable enterprises and jobs. Our motivation is that as we implement this project, we will train over 1,200 youth, providing them with increased motivation and entrepreneurial skills. And in 1 year, we hope that this project will result to 840 enterprises and 1,092 jobs. We have 3 objectives. Number 1 is to address the issue of youth unemployment through entrepreneurship training. Number 2, helping the youth patent their innovations. Number 3, raise the status of self-employment and integrate entrepreneurship in the school curriculum. Thank you, sir.
Okay, thank you for the, I think, again, a very, very important topic. We have a big issue on to do with employment, and I think these are kind of the initiatives that could really help in terms of addressing this challenge. Like your background, you might need now to look at the objectives in terms of what you want to bring out as part of the discussions. What do you want to unpack from these particular issues? And I'll take you back to what I shared with the team that has just presented. One of the objectives is to identify the causes of teenage pregnancies. What are the causes? Maybe you might want to look at maybe what are some of the problems that are relating to youth entrepreneurship training, because I'm sure there are many other trainings out there. So what is the real issue? What is the challenge with those trainings? So one could be to identify maybe some of those challenges. Two, you could also explore on probably workable strategies. Then, because your document has now to lead to some particular strategies that when they're implemented, they will lead now to achievement of what you have talked about as the objectives. Those objectives that you have mentioned will actually be the outcome of the implementation of this particular project. So you may want to focus on what will come out in this document as part of as part of the strategies that will be implemented to now results to what you have mentioned as part of the objectives. So let's unpack the issue within the objectives, bring out the strategies, then focus on the implementation of the strategies. I don't know if that comes out well for you.
Yes, sir. It's well captured. We will work on it, sir.
Then proceed to methodology as well. Let's now start getting into what are the real issues. Do we benchmark? Do we, whatever approach you want to take, let's now get into the real issue so that we can now start looking at the findings maybe from next week. Thank you so much. Let me move on to team 2, cohort 34. We have Winfred, we have Enes Chege, and we have Josephine Moria. I know we have Enes Chege who is present. Josephine is also present. Maybe you could, Josephine and Chege, maybe you could guide us.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chair. I'll take you through.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, thank you so much. Now, our topic was digital currency as a future African payment method. Background was a single digital currency is when a number of countries join their currency together as a single currency in order to pay for their transactions. And this is an example from the European Union, whereby they use the euro. So the statement of the problem, as the world increasingly embraces digital currencies as a means of payment, is a need to explore the potential of digital currency adoption in Africa and address the challenges and opportunities it presents. Despite the rapid growth of digital payments in other regions, Africa faces unique socio-economic, technological, and regulatory circumstances that may impact the feasibility and effectiveness of digital currencies as a future payment method. Therefore, it is crucial to examine the factors that influence the adoption of digital currency in Africa and identify the key challenges that need to be overcome to foster its widespread acceptance and utilization in the constant diverse economies. One of our motivation was economic empowerment in Africa, whereby digital currency has the potential to revolutionize the African economy by providing greater financial inclusion and empowerment to understand and to the economic empowerment whereby digital currency has the potential to revolutionize the African economy by providing greater financial inclusion and empowerment to underserved populations. The other motivation was remittances and cross-border transactions, whereby digital currencies can enhance the efficiency and speed and cost effectiveness of cross-border transactions between African countries. Whereby, of course, right now we research there are 54 countries in Africa. And of course, the other motivation was global trends, whereby digital currencies are gaining momentum ordered, whereby you find several countries in the Western countries are exploring this digital currency implementation. Our objective was to, will this digital currency eliminate the cost of converting currencies, because you find that if African countries want to trade, it becomes very difficult for people to change one currency to another, maybe from Ugandan shillings to Kenya shillings, and vice versa, Kenya shillings to Tanzania. So with this digital one currency, we make it easy for the conversion of currency, because the one currency becomes easy for costs for companies and individuals to do business. Then one of the objectives also is to see if the same digital currency is going to eliminate the exchange rate uncertainty, because one factor that hinders transactions between companies in Africa is the exchange rate, because we find that a company is going to exchange a rate and maybe see their business going to fail. With one currency, it will be easy for companies and maybe countries to focus on one product that they can do best. Maybe Kenya can focus on, we're good in agriculture, because it will make it easy for us to do business with other African countries. Maybe the last objective is increased price transparency, because by having one digital currency, it will make easy and for African countries to compare prices, whereby you find that there will be no monopoly of price transaction, because you find like tea, it's exported to other African countries, maybe to Western countries, and they take advantage of the currency, the dollar and the Kenya shillings. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. I think it's also very interesting just to look at this kind of, because this is where we are, the digital transformation. You may also want to look at the East African Monetary Union. I know among the East African pillars, we have the custom union, we have the common market, we have the political, and also we have the monetary union, the East African currency, among the other currencies, other regions within the globe. So you may want to pick a few lessons there. So I think I'll only mention on the objectives. On the objectives, you could explore on the opportunities, and then under the opportunities, now you discuss the issues that you have raised as part of what we expect in the findings. So one of the objectives could be the opportunities. You'll explore the opportunities. You could also explore maybe on the problems of the existing platforms. Why should we shift to the digital platform? So what are some of the challenges that exist? And then now you connect to the opportunities that comes or that emanates from the use of the digital currency. So I think focus on what are the opportunities, so that it also becomes very important for us to appreciate the value even from your discussion. I said sometimes these project proposals, they become learning experiences. They expose us to what we didn't know. So maybe as you will be presenting this, we'll really be learning a lot from you as a team as well. So Chege, I don't know if that is, are we okay with that?
Yeah, okay, Mr. Chair.
Okay, thank you. Now, team, I'm looking at our time, and I really don't want to keep you longer than this. I want to suggest, I think from the discussion from the previous teams, you can look at your work and see, is it aligned to the comments that we have shared with other teams? If you find maybe in terms of how you have defined your objectives, there is, you need to realign with what we have discussed, you could realign. But I want to request team 3 and cohort 35 just to share your work on email. I will look at it, but all of us now, we want to shift to the methodology. Yeah, so once we refine the objectives, let's now move on to the methodology. And remember, methodology, you have the free space there to adopt what can work for you. If you want just to focus on literature review, look at what has been published and then address your objectives, because the methodology will address the objectives. Yeah, so if we are exploring the opportunities in terms of the use of digital currency, so we'll want to study a lot around that and then bring out the opportunities in the discussions. Yeah, so that we can see the opportunities, we can see maybe the challenges of the existing platforms, and then maybe we can see any other objective that you are addressing. So we'll align ourselves to the objectives. So I want to propose that we, for the purposes of time, we just work in line with that, and then we can share our work. George, are we okay with that?
Yeah, that's okay. Thank you. Thank you. We shall share an email after you find the objectives.
Okay, thank you so much. How about Doreen? Doreen, I think Doreen was on board. Joyce, okay, Joyce is not there. I think we'll communicate on the chat as well. Peter, are we okay with that?
Yeah, it's okay. And you had also sent us to go and redefine our topic. And this is it, Witnessing Jesus, that is spreading the good news with impact, a focus on the 1040 window and Christian missions.
Okay. Yeah, I think, Peter, you could share that just as it is, then I'll look at it and then I'll share my comment before you proceed.
Yep.
Okay, thank you so much. Okay, I see we had Jacqueline. I think Jacqueline is off. Nancy, on behalf of Team 3, Cohort 35, are we okay with that?
Yes, it's okay.
Okay, thank you so much. Hannah, sorry for the technical hitch. You could also proceed and share your work via email. I'll look at it. I'll share with my team and then we can share our comments. Is that okay, Hannah?
Yes.
Okay. So leaders, I want to pause there. I know we have extended and I really didn't want us to go beyond that. It was already taken 30 minutes. Otherwise, I think now we are well set. I'm sure within the remaining period, we'll also be able to cover quite a lot. The only thing with the project proposal, it calls for a lot of reading. Yeah, so you have to really read a lot just to be able to address your objectives. So I think as a team, you could just share. Maybe one person could look at one objective, but you feel free to use your own framework so that we can be able to have as more information as possible aligned to our objectives. So I want to pause there for tonight. I thank you so much for your consistency, for your resilience, for your focus, and high level of commitment. I know this program stretches us as leaders, but it's for a worthy cause, and this kind of interactions we are having here, I believe, as we said from the very beginning, we are going to raise our leadership bar. As already, I'm sure this is happening, but by the time we conclude, we would have really stretched ourselves, and our leadership bar will really have gone high. That's really what we expect, and that is our prayer. So thank you so much. Could I ask Nancy to say a prayer for us?
Okay, let us pray. Heavenly Father, we are grateful for the opportunity once again to learn. We give you glory, we give you honor. Thank you, Jehovah God, even for the week that you've had. We give you praise and we give you honor. Even as we enter into the weekend, we declare your protection upon our lives, O King of all glory. Help us to put what we've learned into practice. In Jesus' name, I pray.
Amen.
Amen.
Good
night.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Good night.
Yeah, and excuse me, Mr. Joseph.
Yes, Peter.
Maybe a clarification. Is it on Global Leadership PCTR?
Yeah, Global Leadership CTR at gmail.com.
Okay.
Yes.
Thanks.